Hello, Mustang fans, and welcome to another episode of the Mustang Owners Podcast. I'm your host, John Clore, along with my co-host, Mike Ray, and we're the podcast that says everybody has a Mustang story, but oh my goodness, Mike, every once in a while we have to step back and read the letters and comments we get on the podcast, because that is what real communication is all about.
Yep, and we'd love to hear from everybody, and we know they're listening then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so for those of you who aren't used to our mailbag sessions, we got to get into our mailbag because we do respond. We love reading your comments. It's really helpful, not just on the YouTube algorithm, Mike, but it's helpful to us to make sure we give you a better show. So I guess, now it's in April. It's time to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Mustang Owners Podcast mailbag. Are you ready, Mike?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Our first letter actually was a comment posted on Mustang Owners Podcast when we did the Ford World Headquarters episode. Remember that one, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what this is.
So you got some too. I got a few texts. I got an email, but we're gonna give credit where credit's due. If you put a comment into the Mustang Owners Podcast YouTube comment section, we'll put you on the air. So our first letter is from Justin.C_SVT, and he says, "Hey guys, there was an S5 it was S650 that was misidentified in that episode." He said the S650 that was shown at 17.20 in your video is actually a 60th anniversary car, not a dark horse as you identified it. It's also one of the really rare Brittany Blue 60th cars as well. Signed Justin.C_SVT. Justin, totally right. You were right. And Mike, let's give them the real story on why that car was identified.
Okay, so obviously, guys, you should know that me and John definitely know our cars. And I believe I'm the only salesman in the country that sold one of each of the colors that it was produced in. So we know the cars for sure, but when we're doing these, the thumbnails that we see, we can barely even see them. So we could not see it close enough. It was like the size of a nail head that we could see from our camera. So we could not identify it there. We were going off just memory of what it was. So that's what it was. So we deeply apologize. We do know that it was the 60th anniversary.
And for everybody's edification, those are my photos. I didn't upload them large enough. And so we're going up to the screen like this. What is that picture? So when we spotted, that looks like a dark horse. We just mentioned the dark horse. Of course, you're 100% right. That was one of the super rare 60th. So, Justin, if you're at any of the events we're going to be at this year, we're going to be posting an event schedule, Mike, for us in our next mailbag of all the shows we want to hit this year. You come up and see us, and you say, all you have to say is Brittany Blue, and we'll know it's you. So now, Mike, now that we put that on the podcast today, there'll be 700 people coming up to us and saying, Brittany Blue, where's my bride?
That's awesome.
So Justin, bring your driver's license. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, you're correct. And so what we'll do is we're going to work with our producer next time. So don't use my little tiny thumbnails. Use the big photos. So great catch. Anytime you catch us, but and here's the other thing, Mike. I don't know if you know this, but right after, I've been going through some eyesight things. And I just had a couple days ago a retina surgery. So that's my excuse. Okay. I got new glasses. What do you think, Mike? They're blue.
And I'm blind as a bat, so I mean, I don't even need any more explanation than that. But if I take my glasses off, I'll run right into the wall.
Mike, but let's put it this way. Had we been at the show, we wouldn't have misidentified it. But looking at pictures on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, great catch. Keep those comments coming. Now, here's another one, Mike. And see, this is where we get into trouble. This one came to us through Club Hub. And this says, hello, which is good. Our name was drawn when the cars were picked, and we purchased a Brittany Blue 60th Anniversary GT back in January. What's with the Brittany Blue 60th Anniversary cars? What did we do wrong?
Hot topic tonight, huh?
Anyway, so this guy bought one, chassis number 0195. He says, do you guys know how many Brittany Blue 60th models were actually produced? I heard the goal was 250, and that's from Ted and Kay Haas out of Wilcox, Arizona, in the MCA. And yes, you're right. Mike, originally they said the target's going to be 150, but I remember that was growing, and they said, well, let's extend it to 250. Now, whether or not they hit that, we don't know, and here's the reason why. It usually takes a whole year after model year production is done before they do an audit. And everyone should know that when they do an audit at the factory, it's different than just when they count the cars that went down the line. That's different than the audit numbering how many cars, because some of the early builds, Mike, they're sent off to crash testing and they crush 2 or 3 of them, and they never count as the first Mustang that was ever made there. That is not a saleable unit. So that doesn't car number 1. So what the plant makes, they have their numbers of Mustangs built, and what marketing decides is car number 1 through car whatever out of production run, totally different. So what they do is they have a corporate audit where the manufacturing plant and the marketing division get together and they count the cars, and that's how you get an assignment. So that usually takes, after the car model run is over, that usually takes about a year afterwards, because it goes through the corporate audits, then it's released to the Mustang brand team. But now that I'm hanging with the Mustang brand team, I'll tell you what we'll do, Mike. We should get like Joe Bellino on, or our new Mustang brand manager, Ryan Shaughnessy, and get that number for people on the podcast. And what we can do is we'll have like an exclusive number, which you got to watch the podcast to find out. And one of our letters thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm all for it.
And then somebody's going to we'll make it a short on YouTube. Like, here's the number.
Yeah.
We do thank you for that question. And yes, you're right. If we get one more Brittany Blue 60th anniversary question, we're going to cut the mailbag short today. But let's do that. Let's chase that one for you guys. And that's the advantage of doing something with our podcast, because other guys think, what are they going to do?
Yeah, I'd like to get the whole breakdown too, the Wimbledon whites and the race reds as well.
Well, yeah, because then you're going to put it on your personal page and sell some of them. No, it's good, Mike. It's good to have. Okay, now this one was sent to, it just says, one of your favorite podcasts. There are a couple people we think of. We think of podcast regulars who always write in all the time. Maybe, it could be Paul Newitt. Is it Mark Bedell? But this one came with no name, just came to my inbox at Ford. And he said, I think I saw this. I can't remember if it was on a Ford Authority. A lot of people read Ford Authority.
Yeah.
Or where, but you guys need to answer it.
Real quick before we get to that, I just got to throw this old memory in here. You remember during our 50th Heroes Banquet, when Parasek was telling the crowd about, how everything worked for launch and everything like that? He said the first thing we did every morning was get to work and log on to Mustang G6 to see what was new with Mustang that we had to work on today. So it's kind of along those lines.
So, and I know Mark Bedell does read it. So this is not from Mark. He would have said it.
Yeah.
There's a name on the poster from that other site. So they want us to address this. And Mike, I don't know, you sell Mustangs more than I don't deal with those cars, but you know.
Yesterday.
Well, there you go. So, but you working at Gorno, maybe you can address this as a dealership problem. I know it's a problem on YouTube. It's called headlamps without bulbs. So he writes in, a guy named Thomas Orr, O-R-R. He writes in, hey, I want to know how Ford and other manufacturers got the brilliant idea to start installing headlamps where the bulb can't be replaced. Now, obviously, he's talking about late model LED technology. I know in F-150s, they're like a sealed unit, aren't they? Like tail lamps.
Yeah.
He says, now on many vehicles, the entire assembly must be replaced. So you can't, like on my 2011 F-150, the bulb's out. I reach, in fact, there's 2 screws. You reach in and you go to AutoZone. I think it's $2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, now you got the entire assembly must be replaced. And on most, even the front bumper fascia will need to be removed and replaced just to do the installation of the headlamp. And then some people, if they remove the front fascia, have to do additional programming, which requires Ford software and a special tool equipped with the needed software. Now, I'm thinking he's talking about the front radar, right? Like
he's got to be.
Yeah, got parking sensors that's in the nose of the car. There's in the fascia, and if you move that, you got to recalibrate it. It's like when you get a new windshield, right? Okay, so I get it. Now that's correct. So far I'm following him. He said, I just helped a friend to get his new headlamp for his 2020 Edge. And Mike, you probably sold a lot of Edges in your time. He says, and the part for the new headlamp, are you ready for this? Was over $2,600.
You got it.
The dealership was charging somewhere between $150 and $200 per hour. He was told that for a non-functioning headlamp diagnosis for his 2020 Edge, then installation, the cost at the dealership would be between $3,000 and $3,500.
Wow.
Now, Mike, compare that to going to AutoZone.
Wow.
When I went to AutoZone, now I had to buy my blinker. My headlamps came in usually 2-packs. You could get the 2-packs.
Yeah.
And those were like 20 some bucks, but the blinker bulb was like, $295 for
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
So this is, we're talking $3,000 or above. He says
That's insane.
according to Thomas Orr, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
In comparison, my 2019 Taurus with the upgraded headlamps, the bulb is $80 to $150, and they can be replaced without removing the headlamp assembly. If you want to talk about Ford quality and think about the cost down the road to our prospective buyers, start with making headlamp with a bulb. Now, Mike,
Wow.
didn't Parasak talk to you about the signature of Mustang headlamps and how our headlamps are so important? RTR's got the nostrils glowing.
Yeah.
I mean, now we got those little cuts, the Gale Haldeman cuts, we call them,
Yeah.
in the side of a Mustang. Those are now lit up.
Yeah.
Everybody's going LED, but there comes a cost with that. And some of the LEDs are run through lighting modules. It takes chips to run it. They have to know,
But they're basically supposed to last forever. That's the reason, doing it too. So you shouldn't have to replace any of this.
Now, some YouTuber had told me that he had an F-150 that somehow got water intrusion into his tail lamp, and he wound up with this problem. And they said, well, water intrusion wasn't covered under the warranty. I don't know, what? So for all of you out there, this is your reason. Mike, let's go ahead and say it. This is why you buy an older Mustang.
Yeah. Wow. That's just absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah. So
I'm going to be talking to the service manager tomorrow. I'm going to get some more details on this.
Yeah. See if Mustang's part of that issue. Because we'll bring that out. But like Bill Clinton used to say, I feel your pain. Yeah. So let's dig into this, Mike. See what does it cost to replace a Mustang headlamp, and is that part of the deal? And if that's the case, there's going to be a lot on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I will find out for sure. That's really got me puzzled.
That's crazy. All right, so here's another one. This came with a photo, and it was sent to me, Mike. And this is my problem. We had Robert Kennedy on in his new book, and I mentioned in our podcast that he's a Mustang 2 advocate. So you know me, I've got my reputation. Oh, there's the Mustang 2 guy. So this is Mustang 2 alert in Oregon.
Okay.
It says, hi, John. I immediately thought of you when I saw this picture of a Mustang 2 T-top for sale for $3,000. I saw it on Facebook. Yeah. I'll show you the photo. A very clean white T-top Mustang 2. The T-tops didn't come out till halfway through 77 and all of 78. So he must have found a garage baby up in Oregon, but $3,000 for a running driving Mustang is pretty darn cheap, especially for a 2. Anyway, he said, "Now
you either buy that or you buy a headlight."
Yeah. In fact, the headlight may be more than this Mustang too. Again, a reason why you got to love classic Mustangs, folks. This, like, the great point. Anyway, he says, I own a 2012 Ford Mustang Boss 302. I think that's one of your buddy Parasak's favorite cars.
Yeah.
It's in competition orange.
Okay.
And it's got 2,500 miles on it and climbing, which means good for this Mark Balboni of Gresham, Oregon. It means he's driving it. But anyway, he wanted me to know he lives in Oregon, and he bought this Mustang 2 down in Southern California and only had 1,245 miles on it. I don't believe that. I think it had 101,245 miles. Or maybe he drove 1,245 miles to get to the car. But anyway, he said, long before I paid for it, I had decided to make this car into, you ready? A dedicated track car, not to mention to get my SCCA racing license. Now, the question I have for Mark is, are you talking about buying your 2012 Boss 302 that you drove to Southern California to buy and you want to make it a dedicated track car? Or are you teasing me that when you saw this Mustang 2, you thought of me and you bought that?
Yeah.
Now, so Mark Balboni of Gresham, Oregon, thanks for sending that into Club Hub or to my email, actually, J. Clark Cars and Context. But I got to know, does anybody other than Dave Wilson out of Ohio track his Mustang 2? Oh, wait, there's there's a couple of other guys that are out in the Kansas City area that do track their Mustang too. So, but what a great letter. Thanks for sending in the pictures. But ladies and gentlemen, every time you see a Mustang too, you don't have to send me a picture of your car. I'll take it because everyone's got a Mustang story. So Mike, do they send you Fox body pictures?
No, I've not got any Fox body pictures recently.
Okay.
Well, you know what, John, I do want to intervene here too before we get to the next question. Is we did get some good news, right? That you can shine on. That all the people that we've both been getting hammered on since February was, are we going to be doing a international summit for the clubs around the country? And we are working on one right in the fall to get that done and reconvene with all the other club leaders around the country. Correct?
Yeah, that's, with I got a job shift at Ford after 20 some years at Ford Racing, and I'm no longer doing the content for FordRacing.com or Club Connect, but now I am working with Team Mustang under the Mustang brand manager to continue to do Mustang communications, Mike, as well as some of the club work and supporting club events. And one of the things was discussed is there's so many people like that if you get 30, 40 clubs that are interested in that, the Mustang brand team would be interested in supporting that. So if they're going to support me on that, I said, Mike, I think we want to do it. And you said this would be the perfect opportunity, for the podcast, sponsor, and for your International Council of Mustang Club. Maybe we could do it as a kickoff event, maybe at a venue in Dearborn, maybe during the Dream Cruise, or maybe in the fall, or, because we could have people join, via Zoom, right?
Yep.
So the good news is Ford is, even though that was long sponsored by Ford Racing and then Ford Performance when I had Club Connect, but now without that, we thought, we don't want to stop that. Didn't Mark Bedell, who was recently on our podcast, talk about how helpful? So look forward to that, guys. If you're in a Mustang club and you're watching the podcast, make sure once we get information about that and announce when that is, get your club involved with that, because we had some great ideas.
I must have got at least 20 emails about that, about, what's going on with it, when's it happening, when the invite's going out. So it will be coming. It just be in the fall this year instead of in February.
Great idea. And for those of you who followed what the heck went on during those summit meetings, Mike, you'll recall I did stories on that when I used to write for FordRacing.com. And also we did a story in Mustang Times about it. And remember, was it last year where we brought up those two guys out of Pennsylvania, Daniel Przinski and his buddy? You remember? So we had two guys in a T-Bird club who both owned Mustangs, felt so passionate about being part of the Mustang Club Summit that they drove all the way to Michigan, Mike, and there was a snowstorm.
Major snowstorm all the way there,
Yeah. So they came up and presented on what young people want when they join a club, and I've been following Daniel ever since then. We met him over at the Heritage Collection reveal. He drove to Detroit. He graduated from college, same college that Lee Iacocca graduated from, and he winds up asking, I got to get a job at Ford. I'm a college grad. I want to work at Ford. Well, guess what, Mike? He just started his new job at Ford. I think he's a ownership experience
zone manager or something, right? Yeah,
zone manager for Ford. Yeah. Just started like a week or two ago. Congratulations to young Daniel Przinski. See what happens when you get in a club. He was on the podcast. Yeah. Go back and check out Daniel Przinski on the Mustang Owners podcast when they shared their Mustang story with us. See what happens, Mike.
Yeah.
Someday he'll be running Ford Motor Company.
Let's hope. I hope he remembers us.
Yeah. Remember all the little people you stepped on the way to the top. Farley better be looking in his rearview mirror for this guy. So very cool, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. Speaking of Carlisle and awards and shows and doing stuff with clubs, this one threw me for a loop. And I'll put a picture of Mike. I think you're part of this because you helped me throw these. Remember my Ford Performance Pick Award clings?
Yeah.
We'd have them in our pocket. So I give them out at shows. I have in my pocket when Mike and I are around. And he says, "Oh, I love this car." And if Mike says that, and I agree, we stick one of these on it. And we get this letter. It says, "To whom it may concern," which I'm going to say you, Mike. It should concern you because I don't have any.
Finish reading the question first.
Oh yeah, a few years ago, at the Ford Nationals at Carlisle, my car was picked for a Ford Performance Pick Car Show Award.
Okay.
I learned this by the window cling sticker on my windshield. So apparently he wasn't there.
Yeah.
I saw the car. I probably popped that on there. When I went to the Carlisle booth, the attendant told me that I was probably being notified of an award. They told me that there was no trophy or plaques for this award, though, and that the sticker states, it's not a sticker, actually, it's a cling, Mike.
Cling, yeah.
You never put a sticker on somebody's Mustang or any Ford. Don't put stickers.
Please don't do that. Don't try that at home.
Removable clings, yes.
Yeah.
It says this on the sticker. This car has been selected for a Ford Performance Pick Award. But he says it's not as an award? Am I confused? I am confused. I received a phone call that day and had to return home on Saturday evening. Could not return on Sunday for the Carlisle Awards. Everybody's been to Carlisle, Mike, knows that if you get a Carlisle, like a, what do we give away there? They're called celebrity picks.
Yeah.
We put that on their window. That is a sticker, by the way.
Yeah. It is.
And then they come back Sunday, right?
Yep.
And then they hold their plaque. They're next to the grandstand. They get okay. So he called and he said he couldn't come back on Sunday, but somebody on the show field told me that this sticker on my windshield meant that I won something to be presented on Sunday. But if I couldn't be there, I could have it mailed or shipped to my house. Is that true? I'm not a trophy hunter, but I certainly don't want to miss out on an award from Ford. I hope you can clear this up for me. Thank you, Craig Conway, owner of a 1973 Ford Pinto.
Okay.
So first of all, Mike, that should have been a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
If you get a Ford Performance Pick on a Pinto, who's going to be putting that on there?
Yeah, only you.
No. Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Okay.
I did see a Maverick I loved there last year, though.
So let's get a close-up of what the Ford Performance Pick Award is. We'll put this up here. So what this is, folks, is Mike and I will go to a show, and I just go to shows that, you know, I love the little dealer shows, Mike, 100, 200, 300 cars, and we've been all over the place. You know, everywhere from the plains in the Midwest to down south, and a little great dealer show with a couple hundred cars. Well, sometimes they don't, you know, what happens? The club picks, you know, the best restored car, the beautiful, and sometimes we find a young kid with a beat up old S95, and we wanted to give him something. So what we do is we give him this cling that says, we saw your car at the show, and we think it's cool, and this is our little award. Put this on it's a cling, so take it off the window and put it on the inside or on a quarter window. So when you drive around, they go, what is this? It's a little award from Ford. Why? Why? Because Ford was there and loved your car. Yep. Now, are you mad that it's just a cling? I would say no, because I've only printed about 200 of those over the last 5 years. And you can only get it when you or I, Mike, are walking around together and we pick a car and we say it didn't win anything. And so what I do, I reach in my pocket. I love that car. So
and people cherish them. They'll display it at the show on their windshield and everything. They're not going to take them off. Most people I know don't.
No, and so it's not the club fault that they didn't pick the car. The club picks what they want. They have their own judging rules, right? Yeah. So it's just that this was just an extra way for me to show you that Ford Motor Company was there and they loved your car, even if you didn't. And for whatever reason, it could have been your paint, could have been your story. Mike, I want to announce something tonight. I want to announce that the Mustang Owners Podcast, when we go to car shows, are going to be doing the same thing and carry on my tradition that I started back when I was at Ford Performance. We're going to have the Mustang Owners Podcast Car Show Award cling, and we're going to be picked, no matter if you can go ahead and win the 4-foot trophy. Good for you. You can get People's Choice. Yeah, that's fine. But now when Mike and I will be at a show, Mike, I'm going to get these made up, and we will be delivering the performance or the Mustang Owners Podcast Award. You know, we love your story. We love your car. So look forward to that when you see Mike and I at the show. You never know what this guy's got in his pocket. Probably not the Mickey Mantle rookie card, right?
I wish.
Yeah. So that brings up another thing. We were presented with, Mike, how many times did you and I go to a Ford meeting and suggest that Ford should, as giveaways, instead of posters and things, they should give away a baseball card set like they used to. Remember those old Mustang baseball? Yep. So we are going to try to, I'm talking to a supplier, getting a licensed supplier, to try to make a series of Mustang Owner Podcast baseball cards. That maybe next year, if you help us get to our 1,000 subscribers, and you tell your friends, and we can get up there on YouTube past 1,000, that will give us a little bit of incentive to go out and get a couple of sponsors for this. Wouldn't you love a new set of cards based on different parameters that Ford's never used? Maybe all the special editions, all the cool SVTs, top of the Fox bodies, all the, we could do 1,000 things with this, and everybody who comes to see us at the show would get a card, maybe even trade with their friends. And that year we could do that series and then change the series. So we want to do that because we're collectors too. And this guy sitting on the podcast with me, he doesn't just, collect Mustang brochures. He has Mike, was it did your wife tell me that you must have over 20 or 30 baseball cards?
Couple million it's approaching, that's for sure.
You have football cards, hockey cards, baseball. So we thought, hey.
And Mustang cards. I do have some Mustang cards.
I've got all the sets. I've got all the Mustang cards. So So we're gonna do that. If Ford doesn't make them, you don't need to. We got a licensed supplier that makes Ford stuff, and we're gonna do it for you guys. So, but you got to get us to that 1,000 subscribers. So get liking and subscribing. And Mike, if they know you, you're gonna say, oh, did John say 1,000? No, we meant 2,000.
Yeah, add a 0.
Yeah. We need to get shared because this stuff is fun. So that's just some news coming up. But thank you, Craig Conway. So Craig, I will contact you and I will send you something special because you waited all these years to find out why you got that award back at Carlisle, and I'll make it up to you because that was the whole purpose of just giving you some. And by the way, you can't buy those clings on eBay. You could only get them when we were there. So,
right when we pass them out, yeah.
So unlike plastic trophies, there's only a couple hundred of these in existence, and if you got one, you got something special. Maybe sell it on eBay when you're broke. You need to buy when you need to buy a headlight.
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
And here's one now, Mike, for you. This comes from a former member of your Maxim Club.
Okay.
And he says, "Hi, John and Mike. We just got back from Paris, France this week, where I snapped a picture of this beautiful Mustang parked on the the Rue Saint-Dominique.
Okay.
So here's the photo of this beautiful classic, first-gen Mustang parked in this beautiful location in Paris, France. And he says, boy, looking at that sure beats a Renault. I thought you and maybe the podcast or the Maxim folks would enjoy it. Cheers, your friend, Rob Musial. Remember Rob?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, didn't Rob used to write for Ford's, at Ford Magazine? Yeah. So Rob, congratulations about going to Paris. Mike, I've been to Paris. Paris, Ohio.
Just gonna say.
Yeah, because the transit.
I've been to Paris hotel in Vegas. That's about it.
Well, yeah, the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, okay. Yeah. See the Ford Performance Transit when I used to drive the country with Club Connect, it doesn't float.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I wanted to try out anyway, but I went to Paris, Ohio once. I think I stopped there to get gas. Anyway, congratulations to Rob Musial. Thanks for sending us the picture and sending us, the podcast people are interested to see cars in interesting places. Mike, what a crazy mailbag.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was, but you know what, folks? We appreciate the fact that you want us to look into things for you. There's so very few outlets around, the kids who are on YouTube that, have their hat sideways and, I don't know if they can get this stuff, but we're going to get to we'll find it. We'll get to it because Mike knows people. And when he does it, and Mike, I think it gives us a few ideas. I love letters and comments. It gives us a few ideas what we need to do to make things more fun when we're out there on the road, and also make it for fun for our viewers who are watching the podcast or listening to us on Spotify and just want to know cool things that are happening in the hobby.
Yep.
All right, so now, Mike, the next thing you're going to have to tell them is where do they get that cool Mustang Owners Podcast hoodie?
SVTstore.com. And they got hoodies, they got polos, they got T-shirts, you got hats, all kinds of goodies on there. So go on, and they're all very, very fairly priced.
Yes. So what I'm going to announce tonight, Mike, is remember the old sticker sets that Ford used to give out? Where they give out those?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to announce that the Mustang Owners Podcast will be giving away their own sticker set of classic cars, the old brands like SVT and Ford Performance and California Special and Boss 302s. Not the we won't have the new stuff because we're into the classic, but we're going to give a sticker set away the next time you see us, or we'll have Marcy put them up for sale on the SVT store, so you can buy a sticker and get that Mustang Owners Podcast logo on the front of your computer laptop.
Yeah, your laptop or whatever, or your phone case. Yeah.
Yeah, or just get yourself a cool polo or a hoodie. You can't. When you're walking around with Mustang Owners Podcast apparel, Mike, they got to know you're connected. You're one of the cool people.
And like I said, they're super fair price. If you're shopping for hoodies or polos these days, look at the prices on these, and they're very, very affordable.
Great job. Well, folks, and great job from you. Just remember, you hit that like or subscribe button. We always appreciate your comments on how we can make this podcast better for you. Send in your letters to either jclore@ford.com. We're now still clubhub@ford.com, jclore@carsandcontext.com, Mike, and then or clubhub@ford.com. And we want to make sure that we get everybody a chance to speak out and be part of our Mustang mailbag. Really appreciate all the input we get. Mike, isn't it great to every once in a while hear from people?
Yes, thank you guys so much for your input, and keep it coming to us.
Thanks again. Thanks for joining us tonight. And until next time, we'll just have to catch you guys down the road.